Imagine standing right at the edge of a cliff. You don't know if you'll fall or fly. Life throws those moments at us, doesn't it? Like a sudden job loss, maybe a relationship ending, a health scare, or just unimaginable loss. And these things, they don't come with a warning sign. Adversity, it really doesn't care who you are. So when something just shatters your world unexpectedly, do you tend to bounce back? Or do you feel like you might just fall apart?
That's really the core question, isn't it? The heart of what we're exploring today.
Exactly. And this deep dive, it isn't just about, surviving hardship. It's really about bouncing back stronger. The real keys to building true resilience after hardship. We're going to unpack what resilience actually is and maybe what it isn't, and share some practical, real-world ways you can build this essential life skill.
Right. And the sources we looked at, they're clear. This isn't about just putting on a brave face or finding quick fixes, not at all. It's more about an enduring strength, one that's forged really in the fire of adversity. It helps you not just get through challenges, but actually grow from them, even when that feels completely impossible.
Like a muscle, you mean? Something that gets stronger the more you challenge it.
Precisely. Think of it exactly like that. A muscle that strengthens when you face things head on.
Okay, so let's unpack this resilience muscle then. We hear the word resilience a lot. Sometimes people use it like grit or mental toughness. But what is it really? Is it just gritting your teeth?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's more nuanced than just pushing through. Yeah. Our sources define resilience clearly as adapting to change, recovering from hardship, and crucially moving forward. It's described as a life skill, something forged in adversity, not some, rare superpower you're born with.
Okay, a life skill.
And importantly, it doesn't mean you're immune to pain. You still feel the anger, the grief, the sorrow. That's human. The core of it is finding some kind of meaning in those really tough moments and learning how to keep going, both physically and psychologically.
That's a really powerful distinction. So it's not about being numb. It's about how you navigate through the pain. How does that compare to, say, mental toughness? Because I feel like those two get mixed up all the time.
They really do. And they're related for sure, but there's a key difference. Resilience is specifically that ability to recover quickly from difficulties, to bounce back. Mental toughness, though, it sort of adds another layer. It includes confidence, a positive approach, maybe seeing challenges more as opportunities.
Okay.
So you could say most mentally tough people are definitely resilient. But not all resilient people are necessarily mentally tough in that specific way. Resilience helps you survive, maybe, while mental toughness helps you really prosper and grow through it.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. And thinking about what resilience isn't, well, that leads us into some common myths, right? I think a lot of people assume it just means like believe in yourself and that's enough.
Yeah, that's a big one. And actually, one source specifically warns that relying only on your own strength can, paradoxically, lead to failure. True resilience isn't blind optimism either, or just pretending everything's okay. You have to face the challenges, honestly. And it's definitely not about being self-sufficient. I mean, life's toughest battles, you really can't win those alone.
I've also heard people say resilience means you just avoid anything difficult or you bottle up your feelings. That can't be right.
No, you're absolutely right. It's not healthy. Avoiding hardship actually creates more fear in the long run. It stops growth. And suppressing emotions, that just delays the healing process. It doesn't make them go away. Our sources point out that even really strong leaders show emotional vulnerability. Acknowledging pain isn't weakness. Another myth is that it means being stoic, relying completely on your own effort. But often, true resilience isn't just human effort. It can be fueled by something deeper, like a sense of purpose or even faith. And lastly, it's definitely not about quick fixes. Distractions, substances, bad habits. They might feel good for a second, but they weaken you long term. It's not about being perfect or never stumbling. It's really about perseverance. Keep getting back up.
Okay, so resilience isn't some fixed thing we have or don't have. It's this muscle we can build. So what are the exercises for that? How do we actually start building it?
Well, fundamentally, it starts with mindset. Cultivating a resilient mindset. A key piece is shifting how you see yourself, moving from feeling like a victim to identifying as a survivor, or maybe even a driver.
Victim to survivor. Or thriver. I like that.
Yeah. And that involves things like realistic optimism, having a sense of personal control, tenacity, being cognitively flexible. It means you learn to sort of reframe, reappraise, reauthor the lingering effects of tough experiences. You rewrite the story. You turn past struggles from something that holds you back into a narrative of strength and learning. Optimism, as one source put it, it's the fuel that ignites resilience.
Optimism as fuel. I love that. And that connects to the idea of a growth mindset, right? Seeing failure not as the end, but just a step.
Exactly. Embracing a growth mindset changes everything. Success isn't some fixed destination. It is the journey. Learning from every experience, especially failures, actually becomes, well, maybe not enjoyable, but valuable. It reduces that intense do-or-die pressure, makes reframing setbacks as learning opportunities much more powerful. It lessens their sting.
So it's not just the external stuff, it's how we process it inside, which brings us to emotions. It sounds like you actually have to feel the difficult stuff to move through it. You can't just bypass it.
That's absolutely right. Accepting and processing feelings like sadness, grief, guilt, shame, anger, it's crucial. They're normal human reactions. The key thing isn't that you experience negative emotions, but what you do with those feelings, that's what's critical for adapting.
Okay, but how do we do that without getting stuck in them? That feels like the hard part.
And that is precisely where self-compassion comes in. It's huge. Think about how often are you way harder on yourself than you'd ever be on a friend going through the same thing.
Like constantly.
Yeah.
Does that inner critic actually help us be resilient? Or does it hurt?
It absolutely hinders resilience. Research clearly shows self-criticism makes us weaker. When we face failure, we're less likely to learn from it. Self-compassion is the antidote, and it has basically 3 core ingredients. First is mindfulness, which means connecting with the difficult experience as it is, not getting swept away by it, but also not ignoring it, gaining some perspective.
Okay, mindfulness, observing it without drowning in it. What's next?
Second is common humanity. Just acknowledging that suffering, making mistakes, feeling inadequate, it's all part of being human. It's universal. You're not alone in your struggle. You know, like that source saying, sometimes people forget documents. It happens. We're all imperfect. Realizing this helps take the spotlight off your own perceived failure.
Right, it's not just me.
Okay, and the third part.
The third is kindness. Actively offering yourself the same kindness, encouragement, and support you'd give a good friend. Ask yourself, literally, what words do I need to hear right now? Maybe it's, this will pass, or, hey, I'm doing the best I can. It's about being supportive toward yourself, even if you can't fix everything instantly. That makes so much sense. It reminds me of that story about the young lawyer. He made a relatively small mistake, forgot a document for a meeting, but he felt physically sick, sweating, cursing himself, just trapped, replaying it. He was totally paralyzed by the fear of messing up again. It's such a clear example of how self-criticism weakens us. If he'd shown himself some self-compassion, like he would a colleague, he probably would have bounced back way faster, right? And performed better later.
Exactly. It's incredibly relatable. And that feeling of being overwhelmed, it can lead to freezing up, paralysis. So how do you break through that when things feel just too big?
Yeah, what do you do then?
This is where the idea of making things small when they feel big is so useful. When you're overwhelmed, break the challenge down into the absolute smallest, most manageable steps you can think of. Focus only on what's right in front of you today, not the whole mountain ahead, sort of like focusing on your 3-foot zone, just that immediate space you can actually control.
The 3-foot zone. I like that visual.
It creates momentum, even tiny momentum, and that reduces anxiety.
Okay, so breaking it down helps in the moment. But what about the long haul? What pulls us forward through really extended challenges, keeps us going?
That connects to clarifying your North Star goal. This is a really key insight. Resilience isn't just about pushing through. It's also about having a strong sense of purpose that pulls you towards something meaningful, your ultimate goal. When challenges pop up, they seem, well, smaller in comparison to that bigger commitment. And if you can connect that purpose to a moral compass or some kind of internal belief system, it can make it even more powerful. It keeps you focused.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the internal work, the mindset shifts. But you said earlier, we can't do it alone. What about the external stuff, the support systems that help us through the storms?
Absolutely crucial. The role of social support is just indispensable, fundamental. Building strong, healthy relationships with loved ones, friends, mentors gives you that needed support and guidance. And reaching out for that support, that's a key part of being resilient. It's not weakness, it's strength. One source talks about having a charismatic mentor or role model, someone who provides emotional comfort. That's the heart. Practical help, the hand. And wise guidance, the head.
Heart, hand, and head.
Yeah.
Nice.
And strong community support can actually buffer vulnerabilities you might have.
That really resonates. It makes me think of that story, Joel Williams, the veteran who faced going back to prison for life after decades out over a simple mistake.
Yes, Joel's story is powerful. He'd been out 28 years, rebuilding his life with his wife, starting a business back in college. But visiting a prison museum without getting prior approval from the warden, technically a parole violation. He faced life imprisonment again. He said his heart just sank, felt like a total failure. But his wife's unwavering support and help from a legal resource center combined with his own efforts, well, the charges were eventually dropped. His story is such a powerful example that we aren't defined by our worst mistakes, and that other people are often essential in helping us create different lives.
Wow. Yeah, indispensable help. Okay, so beyond social connections, what other practical skills help us navigate hardship?
Well, sharpening your problem-solving skills is definitely key. Using your ability to think, reason, strategize, break down problems, look at your options, take intentional steps. Doing that builds confidence and restores hope. It's about using your own capabilities. And of course, prioritizing holistic self-care. And this isn't just about feeling good, it's deeper. Our sources frame it almost as a radical act of stewardship for your whole self, body, mind, soul.
Stewardship. That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, like treating yourself with the same care you'd give something precious and irreplaceable. So, tending to your physical well-being, exercise, sleep, healthy diet, and your mental well-being, mindful breaks, maybe journaling, getting out in nature, practicing gratitude. These aren't luxuries. They're practical ways to build and maintain your core strength for the long haul.
So taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's foundational. Got it. And when problems do arise, we can't just ignore them, right?
Absolutely not. Taking decisive action is vital. Don't stick your head in the sand. Figure out what needs to be done, make some kind of plan, and take action. Even small actions. Remember, success usually comes from consistent, imperfect steps forward, not from waiting around for the perfect plan that never comes. And finally, if you do feel stuck or just completely overwhelmed, seeking professional help is wise. It's not weak. Counselors, pastors, therapists, they can offer guidance. As one source said, support often comes through other people.
Hearing the principles is one thing, but the stories, that's where it really comes alive. Our sources had some incredible examples.
They really did. Like Angie's transformation. Her world just imploded. 7 months pregnant, she finds out her husband is accused of murder. She described the words just getting caught somewhere between her ears and mind. Her whole life plan, option A, just gone. She faced horrible media attention, community judgment. But then her child was born, and that sparked first a need, then a real will to move forward. She had to find her voice, figure out finances, deal with unbelievable fear and betrayal. She made a conscious choice to happen to life instead of letting life happen to her, to live a life of victory, not victimhood. Her story just powerfully shows how each challenge literally strengthened her resiliency muscles because she took action and chose purpose.
Wow. Choosing victory. And then there was Cynthia, right? Her fight for education was just an incredible act of resilience itself.
Oh, absolutely. Cynthia was orphaned at 11, facing deep poverty and cultural norms that just didn't value educating girls. She'd wake up super early, do chores, sometimes run to school hungry, but she passed her national exams, got into a top school. When poverty nearly forced her to drop out, a scholarship changed everything. It didn't just educate her, it empowered her as a person. She went from the bottom of her class to the top. And eventually, she created her own program, Life Lifters, to inspire young people in her village. She became this incredible role model and advocate for women's equality. Her story just perfectly shows that power of a North Star goal and how education can fuel both personal and community resilience.
These stories are just amazing. And finally, that point about the tortured aviators from the Vietnam War, that one was really surprising, almost profound.
It really makes you think about extreme adversity and what's sometimes called post-traumatic growth. These were aviators shot down, imprisoned, tortured for years. Yet years after release, a significant number, like 61%, reported beneficial psychological effects.
Beneficial, after all that.
Yeah. Increased self-confidence, tenacity, a much greater appreciation for simple things, for relationships. They took immense pride in their service. Even after enduring torture and solitary confinement for up to 8 years, it just shows this astonishing human capacity for resilience and even growth under the absolute most horrific circumstances imaginable.
So, wrapping this all up,
Yeah.
what does this deep dive tell us? It feels like the main takeaway is that resilience isn't something you're just born with.
That really is the core message. Resilience is a muscle. You can build it through conscious practice by applying these principles we've talked about. Things like shifting your mindset, that growth perspective, self-compassion, and also actively seeking support, taking those small, consistent steps forward.
And it's not about just getting back to who you were before the hard times hit, is it?
No, definitely not. It's more about becoming a new version of yourself. Often more capable, maybe more appreciative, maybe the person you were always meant to become. It's about profound growth, ultimately. Not just surviving what life throws at you, but actually thriving because of it, in spite of it.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is this. If adversity is pretty much inevitable, but growth is optional, what's the smallest, most courageous step you can take today? Right now, to start redefining your story from one of just survival to one of profound growth, we really encourage you to reflect on your own in spite of moments. Recognize the resilience you already have inside you. You're almost certainly stronger than you think.